Hello and welcome to Marvel Cinematic University. I'm your host and Professor Alix, and with me as always is the worst student ever, Jacob. Hello, Jacob.
Hey, we are back talking about Age of Ultron for the second week in a row, and we haven't changed our clothes in over a week.
Yeah, no, it's like almost like that was like a whole 30 seconds ago.
No.
Couldn't have been. Anyway, this is Marvel Cinematic University, where each and every week we go through some kind of Marvel property, and I teach Jake something he didn't know about the Marvel Cinematic Universe before, and he probably will not retain after this podcast.
Not a chance.
Last week we did go through Avengers: Age of Ultron from the start to the end. Jacob retelling the story very terribly, so I had to fill in a lot of the blanks.
It's not given a chance to tell the story completely.
You told me I had to tell the story, so I hopped in, okay?
You make one little joke at the beginning of the show, and then all of a sudden I'm slapped with a bad grade because of it.
Well, maybe you should have thought about that before trying to make a joke. Now you'll think twice about making bad jokes.
Oh no, if it's not the consequences of my actions.
But this week we're going to go through the fun facts, the connections, the quiz, and some other information about Age of Ultron. First, I did want to start by talking about my favorite interesting facts about this movie, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Now, you said last week, Quicksilver, not one of your favorite characters. Now, tell me about why that might be.
So, he's not my favorite in this movie. However, he did appear in, I think it was either the same year or the year before. It might have been the year before. He appeared in another film, played by Peter Evans, in X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, you may be asking, how did X-Men use Quicksilver when the Avengers were also using Quicksilver in the MCU?
Different actors.
Rights, my friend. It's all about the rights, baby. Let me break down the rights for Wanda and Peter for you. Is it Peter? Pietro, that's his name.
Pietro.
So, technically, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are the children of Magneto, a very famous X-Men villain. Magneto appeared in the X-Men comics. However, when Quicksilver and Wanda were first created, they first appeared in an Avengers comic. So technically, their copyright did not fall under the X-Men copyright. However, because they are technically mutants and X-Men, it did fall under the X-Men copyright. So,
a lot of loopholes here.
Both Disney and Fox were able to use Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch because technically they both had the rights to the characters. However, they had different types of rights. The X-Men could refer to their superhero names, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They could refer to their father being Magneto. And they could refer to the fact that Quicksilver was a mutant. The MCU could not utilize the fact that he was a mutant. They were mutants. The fact that they were Magneto's children. Or they could then, and in the first film, they could not use the name Quicksilver since it was already being used in X-Men Days of Future Past. I love rights.
Now, when are we getting Deadpool in the MCU?
Soon. They've already gone over 3. Wolverine's going to be in that thing. That's going to be like a year or 2 down the road.
That's actually very exciting. Josh Brolin also plays
Cable, yes.
Cable. So I would like to see Cable and Thanos fight it out. Even though Thanos is dead, let's bring them back and have a fight between those two.
So they've already confirmed that Deadpool is going to be the first movie where we see the multiverse being actually broken.
Oh. So
it's going to be a lot of multiverse play. We'll see what happens. Anyway, back to the rights of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They are, now that Disney now owns Fox and the rights are not a problem, they can use whatever the hell they want. So we'll maybe talk about...
Disney was like, let me use all the rights or I'm just going to buy you.
pretty much what happened.
It's a very stark move.
But I may or may not have plans for us to go through the X-Men films way later down the road.
Really just milk this podcast for all it's worth.
Oh yeah, we're gonna probably watch the Spider-Man films too, don't you worry.
The ones with Tobey Maguire?
And the ones with Andrew Garfield.
Hell yeah.
Technically, it's all part of the MCU at this point. Maybe. We'll find out.
It's all about rights.
No, so that's all I wanted to go over with them, because honestly, it was kind of interesting at the time that literally a year apart, there was 2 different versions of Quicksilver in movies.
Yeah, different actors too. Multiverse.
The multiverse. All right. So let's go through and start my real fun facts of this, because we got quite a bit. So I already went over, yeah, okay. So the first fact that I put here is the first fact that I did go over, so perfect. All right, we see Hulk transform into Bruce for the first time in this film. We have, up until this point in the MCU, have not seen Bruce Banner Hulk transform into Banner. And at no point during this film do we see Bruce transform into the Hulk.
Even in the first Hulk movie?
As far as the Hulk turning into Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see that in the first movie either.
Huh.
The more you know.
I think that glass holds water.
Yeah, I think it does too. In the comics, Helen Cho is the mother of Amadeus Cho, who takes over the mantle of Hulk.
Sweet name, Amadeus.
He gets some gamma radiation.
Just a little bit.
And also technically, so originally the pizza guy in the original Incredible Hulk movie that's played by Martin Starr, he was technically credited as Amadeus Cho, but then retconned as Peter Parker's teacher later on.
It's all connected.
Not yet. A lot of Ultron's philosophy is Bible-based. When he's coming to life, we see his AI speed read the Bible. He says a lot of things, like he references Noah's Ark. He quotes a lot of scripture from the Bible. And his awakening is like Genesis. I think he quotes Genesis when he awakes.
I think you're right.
And his mission is to create peace in our time.
I think he had some good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, he tried his best.
He tried his hardest.
James Spader played Ultron as a moody teenager since he wouldn't have a lot of life experiences, being born 2 days before he dies.
A moody teenager.
Yeah, you can see it several points. Like, he freaks out. He basically treats Tony like a moody teenager would treat their dad. He hates being compared to Tony because Tony is technically his father.
Yeah, because the claw guy,
mm-hmm.
He calls him, so you're like Tony Stark?
And that's when he cuts off his hand.
That's when he rips off his arm.
But then you also notice, like, a bunch of times through the film, Tony and Ultron make similar jokes.
Similar personalities, yeah.
Because at one point, too, when they're, like, facing him in Claw's ship, he's like, you can't just kill a bunch of people to get what you want. And he goes, well, I guess you've never made an omelet before. And Tony's like, he beat me by 1 second.
You gotta break a couple eggs to make an omelet.
Exactly. While waiting hold on. Tony refers to space as the Endgame, referencing the fact that one of these movies may or may not be called Endgame. And it may or may not be about an alien from space.
That's crazy. Can't believe there's a movie about an alien from space in the MCU called Endgame.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
Crazy.
While waiting for the Maximoff twins, Ultron is wearing a red cloak, a nod to his time as Crimson Cowl in the comics.
Now, who is Crimson Cowl?
I'm glad you asked. He was Ultron in a red cloak.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't sure. You cleared it up quite nicely.
I'm glad I cleared it up for you. Ultron has similar mannerisms and attitude to Tony, since Tony is the one who built him. We kind of talked about that 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, you just read the same one. Twice, basically?
No, I didn't read that one yet.
Oh, well, yeah, you said he plays him as a moody teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that, but...
Anyway, when Bruce is looking up Wakanda and pronounces it wrong, the info on Wakanda is pulled from Wakanda's wiki entry on Wikipedia. All the information in the movie, if you look up Wakanda on Wikipedia, it's the first 2 paragraphs.
Man, someone really could have taken advantage of that.
Yeah, I think it says that's where Black Panther gets his fuck on.
Oh yeah. When do we get to watch Black Panther?
Next phase.
Next phase. That's phase 3.
Mm-hmm.
Still have to watch the new movie, but we're getting off track.
Black Panther is right before Infinity War. It was the last. It was the last film to come out before Infinity War. Anyway, Claw's lost an arm. Do you know why?
Well, I'd have to imagine because it's a phase 2 movie and it's a nod to Star Wars.
You got it, buddy.
Seems like a reasonable explanation.
The Roy Thomas Players is the band in Capstream, a nod to Roy Thomas, the creator of Vision in the comics. He created the Vision comic book.
Roy Thomas did?
Yeah, Roy Thomas is the author of Vision.
And he's in one of the bands?
That's the name of the band in Capstream.
Oh, okay.
When Tony is plugging in Friday, we see his other AIs, Jocasta, who is Ultron's wife in the comics, Tadashi, who's based off the chip that is in Baymax in Big Hero 6.
Huh.
You may recall Big Hero 6 from that time we did a whole March Madness bracket style version of Disney. But yeah, technically Big Hero 6 is a Marvel property.
So is Big Hero 6 in the MCU, technically?
Could be. He referenced Tadashi.
Ooh. Or it's just a movie that Tony watched.
Yeah. One or the other.
Could be anything.
All right. It's all connected now, Jacob. That was your fun facts. Now we got to get into our little threads of connections.
No mind-boggling here.
There might be some mind-boggling.
Boggle my mind.
When we're first in New York City at the beginning of the film, we see Grand Central Station has a new statue honoring the first responders of the Battle of New York City.
Actually, not true. I've been to Grand Central Station very recently, and it is not there.
Not in real life. In the MCU, you silly goose. We're not in the MCU. We're in a different universe.
I'll get back in the pond.
When Ultron comes to life, he speed reads through the files Tony has on all the Avengers and anyone associated with them, including Howard Stark. Now, something cool about the photo he sees of Howard Stark, because remember, up to this point, we've seen multiple actors play the role of Howard Stark. The two main ones being the Howard Stark that we see in Captain America and the Howard Stark that we see in Iron Man 2. They spliced both of those Howard Starks and made them one Howard Stark. It's like the Stark that's in the middle of that age.
It's like they're trying to create debate as to which Howard Stark it was.
Right, well, technically, so the Stark that we see in Captain America is like a 25-year-old Stark, and the Stark that we see in Iron Man 2 is like a 70-year-old Stark. I don't know how math works. So technically, the Stark that we're seeing in this image is probably like a 40 to 50-year-old Stark.
That's pretty solid, actually. Used probably a Snapchat filter or something for it.
Yeah, or AI, you know. We learned nothing from this film. Ultron reads Nick Fury's file showing him as deceased, because technically Nick Fury is dead.
So is Phil Coulson.
He doesn't read Phil Coulson's file, though, sadly.
It's in the background, you can't see it.
Ultron sees on Nat's files details of Clint being sent to originally take her out, which we'll learn more about in Black Widow movie. When they're all trying to lift Thor's hammer, Clint references that he's seen this trick before because he saw Thor try to lift it in the OG Thor and not succeed.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together because I did catch that. And I was like, where did he see that?
Yeah, he saw it when Thor first came to Earth. He was one of the first humans to see Thor.
He was up in the crane there, or the tower.
Exactly. You may have forgotten he was in that movie because he was only in it for about 5 seconds, but he was in the film.
Poor agent at that time. Couldn't get more screen time.
He really got a better agent for this film.
Yeah.
Cap budges the hammer when he tries because he's worthy, and he fakes not being able to lift it to spare Thor's feelings.
So, is it because he's like, is it either like you're worthy or you're not, or is he only like partially worthy?
Nope, it's either you're worthy or you're not.
Okay, so he really did, you know.
He put it, so the directors have confirmed that he put it down so that Thor wouldn't get upset.
And that he probably didn't want to have to rule Asgard as well as,
yeah,
or, you know.
It's also a move that somebody who is truly worthy of the hammer would do.
It's highly theorized.
The Avengers use paper files to track down Ultron, most likely owned by Captain America, who prefers paper to computers, as we see in multiple films prior to this. He always prefers to deal in hard copy files.
That's the behavior of senior citizen, if you will.
Technically, he's the greatest generation. He's not a boomer. He was born in 1918, I think it was. July 4th, 1918, I think is what it is.
And he's born on July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is America through and through.
What a shocker. Captain America was born on July 4th. Who came up with that one? Very creative.
What a coincidence. It must have been a qualification to be Captain America.
Oh, this guy was born on July 4th. Put the serum in him. That's the only way it'll work. That's why it only worked for him.
They actually had a better guy other than Captain America, but he was born on July 5th, so they said, get out of here.
Johann Schmidt turned red because he was born on July 1st.
Yeah.
Next fun fact. The file on Claw says his great-grandfather was killed by Wakanda's T'Chaka, most likely an ancestor to T'Challa, and not his father, T'Chaka, as the date on the file is 100 years ago, and there's no way T'Chaka was alive back then. Claw sells Ultron vibranium he stole from Wakanda, a place we may or may not see in the future.
I like to think we will.
It's pretty crazy how Wakanda was introduced 3 years before the Black Panther movie came out.
Yeah, they really had a build up to it.
All right. Thor has visions of Ragnarok and Infinity War from Wanda's dream. Her mind boggles, some might say. And for the first time, we see Thor emit lightning without his hammer. Interesting. Did he know he could do that?
He does now.
Well, actually, he doesn't know that now. He won't know that for another few films.
Couple 2-3 films.
Cap sees Peggy in his mind boggle, who tells him war is over and they go home. Here, Cap refuses because his war is not over yet, but maybe he'll return home when his war is over, possibly at Endgame.
Don't know, we haven't watched it yet.
I mean, at his Endgame.
His Endgame.
I didn't know there was a movie called Endgame.
Nope.
Hawkeye is unaffected by Wanda because he refused to be mind controlled after Avengers 1. His agent got better.
Yeah, everyone else is just weak-minded. With poor agents.
Poor agents. Everyone else couldn't get out of this clause.
Everyone knows these movies are basically based on how good your agent is.
Pretty much. I mean,
guy who got blended, poor agent.
Why do you think Tony Stark is the main character of the MCU?
Great agent.
Yeah, no, his agent retired.
Yeah, that an intern.
And then somehow he booked Doolittle. He said, forget this Avengers thing. I got the movie for you. Doolittle.
You don't want to be Iron Man anymore.
You remember that really famous movie by Eddie Murphy where he played Dr. Doolittle? We're going to do nothing like that, but we're still going to call it Doolittle, and you're still going to talk to animals. The next fact here is it takes 7 additional arc reactors to power the Hulkbuster armor. When Tony takes down the building with Hulk, he shoots missiles at the side so it will implode downwards and cause the least amount of damage. This is because he's learned how to cause damage. At the farm, Cap and Tony fight because of their ideals that will come to a head in Civil War.
I don't think I've ever seen Civil War.
Well, you will in a couple of weeks. It's the first movie of Phase 3, baby. But first, we're going to do some defending before we get into Phase 3. Fury comes to the farm and berates Tony for messing with AI because he's seen a bad AI before, which we'll learn about in Captain Marvel. Thor and Selvig go to the Water of Sight, and Thor sees 4 of the 6 Infinity Stones on a gold cloud foreshadowing Thanos.
It was the Water of Sight.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Pond of Sorrows.
Not the Pond of Sorrows. The background intern at Nexus takes a candid selfie with Tony in the background while he's doing his thing. Tony's working, and you can see the girl in the background. Her friend's taking a picture of her, and she's just going, while Tony's not looking.
She's a big fan. What
Exactly.
can you say?
Iron Man's in your workplace. What do?
Yo, you take a selfie.
The first human Vision looks at is Wanda. He imprints on her and loves her forever now. The Twilight reference.
Never seen Twilight.
Vision's name
Right over my head.
Vision's name comes from Thor saying he had a vision of him.
We talked about that last week, actually, but
It's true.
it makes sense.
The Ultron body Vision finds as the last remaining body is the body Captain America hit off the rock with his shield. So when Sokovia is floating and Steve and Thor get a scrap with some Ultron robots, he takes his shield and one of the bots you can see go flying down to the ground. It's got the same cut-ups on it when it's talking to Vision as that robot. So that's why that robot was just randomly on the ground there.
In the hole.
Crawled out the hole, and then Ultron blew him up.
Nope. Vision blew him up.
Sorry, Vision blew him up. Vision, Ultron, they're both AIs.
Yeah. They're brothers.
We get our first look at the new Avengers campus in upstate New York at an old Stark facility. Keep that in mind, it's an old Stark facility. It might be important in the next movie we watch.
It's locked away in the vault.
All right.
Never to be seen again.
Hawkeye names his baby Nathaniel Pietro, and Hawkeye names his baby Nathaniel Pietro after Pietro and Natasha. It's a fucking tongue twister, dude. You can't say Pietro twice.
Pietro.
That's like the sentence I said. Hawkeye names his baby Nathaniel Pietro.
Hawkeye names his baby Nathaniel Pietro. Hawkeye names his baby Nathaniel Pietro.
That's not the whole sentence. After Pietro and Natasha.
After Pietro and Natasha. Hawkeye names his baby Nathaniel Pietro after You're right.
See, I told you. It's not easy.
It's not easy there. That's some tricky words.
I should have put after Natasha and Pietro, not after Pietro and Natasha.
Yeah.
Tony and Steve's last conversation sets up where they end up in Endgame. Tony says he should take Barton's approach and build Pepper a farm in the woods and settle down, and then tells Steve he'll get to the simple life one day.
Play farming simulator.
Exactly.
16.
They're all going to play. At the end of Endgame, everyone's playing Farm Simulator.
Yep.
2023. We see Thanos get the Infinity Gauntlet, and he does it himself.
So is it at this time when he kind of ravages that star where they make all the special weapons and stuff?
Pretty much, yeah. That's the assumption anyway, I guess.
It would kind of have to be, because that's how we got the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, that's why this scene makes no sense.
Yeah.
And that's it for the connections, Jacob. Do you feel connected?
Boop, 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 boop. Yes.
Do you feel ready to take on a quiz?
Oh, let me take this quiz on.
This one might be a little tricky. I'm not sure, though.
Throw it in front of my face and see if I get a 69 on it.
All right, here's your quiz, baby. Question number 1. Who leads the Hydra faction in this film? Is it A, Wolfgang von Strucker, B, John Garrett, C, Daniel Whitehall, or D, Redhead Schmidt?
It's von Strucker.
It is von Strucker. That is correct. Remembering the name Wolfgang, I thought maybe you'd forget me saying the name Wolfgang. Who would have guessed you would have remembered that?
Without von Strucker, I would have lost.
What Infinity Stone does Loki's scepter contain? The A, Time Stone, B, Space Stone, C, Mind Stone, or D, Power Stone?
Mind Stone.
That is correct.
Wasn't sure if that was a short answer one there, because it took a while to read off, or...
Hey, sometimes I forget that this is multiple choice.
That way, keep it multiple choice.
Question number 3. Which character does not show up at the Avengers Tower to party? Is it A, Sam Wilson, B, Jane Foster, C, James Rhodes, or D, Ultron?
Jane Foster.
That is correct. She didn't want anything to do with MCU films after Thor: The Dark World.
She came back, though.
Did she? Or did it take 10 whole years to get her back?
She still came back.
Yeah, it's because Taika Waititi promised her that she would be Thor in the next one. Question number 4. What is Ultron's mission statement? Is it A, destroy all humans, B. Peace in our time. C. A suit of armor around the world. Or D. I've got no strings.
Peace in our time.
That is correct.
Yes.
Thought I'd throw you for a loop with that one.
It was a tricky one.
Thought you might have gone for I've got no strings.
Yeah, almost did a mind boggle on me.
I've got no strings to hold me down, to make me rain. Question number 5. Which superhero has Claw most likely had run-ins with in the past? Is it A. Namor, B. Captain Marvel, C. Ant-Man, or D. Black Panther?
Black Panther.
That is correct, as he has been in Wakanda before.
Oh, that's where he got the vibranium.
Exactly. Question number 6. Who does Thor see in his WandaVision, also known as a mind boggle? Is it A. Jane Foster, B. Eric Selvig, C. Heimdall, or D. Korg?
It's Heimdall, but I want it to be Korg.
He hasn't even met Korg yet. Question number 7. What is the code name Tony gives the satellite that contains the armor he fights the Hulk with? Is it A. Betty, B. Veronica, C. Hulkbuster, or D. Friday?
Veronica.
That is correct. We talked about it enough. I assumed you'd get that one correct.
Betsy Ross.
Fuck off. Question number 8. I'm kind of curious. Who creates Vision's body? Is it A. Ultron, B. Tony Stark, C. Helen Cho, or D. Bruce Banner?
Helen Cho.
That is correct.
Yup.
One of these things is not like the others.
It's really a process of elimination in my head there.
Yeah, I mean, technically Tony Stark and Bruce Banner created Vision, but Helen created Vision's body. Ultron just supplied the stuff for Ultron's body.
It was the created his body, which was the hint there.
Question number 9. What city does Ultron destroy? Is it A. Lagos, B. Madripoor, C. Sokovia, or D. Kamutaj?
Sokovia.
That is correct. And question number 10. Who kills Ultron? Is it A. Hulk, B. Wanda, C. Thor, or D. Vision?
It is D. Vision.
That is correct, as he kills the last remaining body of Ultron. I have bad news for you. That was a 10 out of 10, so I can't fail you. One of these days I'll fail you.
Usually it's on the end of phase quiz test.
Yeah, I can't wait. That one's going to be a nightmare.
Oh.
All right, Jake. Well, that brings us to the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, Part 2. Next week, your homework is to watch Ant-Man.
Woo!
I'm excited for that one. That'll be a good one.
That's gonna be a good one.
It'll technically be our Phase 2 ender, but we're also going to include the second season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Phase 2-ish.
Yeah, so we'll do Ant-Man, then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and then I got some plans for after that. But this has been Marvel Cinematic University. If you liked what you saw, if you stuck around this long, give us a like, give us a rating. You can follow us on our social media pages, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, AJ Slabs and Juicy Snake 12. Also Marvel Cinematic University Pod 101 on Twitter and Instagram. And new episodes are out every Thursday, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.